The first step is to break the tires free and safely lift the vehicle. Use a 21 mm socket to break loose each of the 5 lug nuts. Once they're broken loose, you're going to go ahead and lift the car using these lift points right here. Uh, the car does have a pinch weld, so you may need an adapter if you're using a floor jack. The adapter looks like this. There's also a link below. You can lift from the center mounting point. That's a little harder to get to, but it is doable. The next step is to remove the tire and familiarize yourself with what's going on. Most of this footage is shot by my associate, and so I'll let him take over.
Alright, so our front brakes here are very similar. It's going to be the same tools that we need to do. There's going to be 2 bolts right here you're going to remove. One right here on my thumb, and one right here on my other thumb. These are going to remove this actual caliper off of this. So we're going to go ahead and do that real fast.
Remove the caliper by removing the 2 14mm guide bolts and then hanging the caliper so there's no stress on the brake line.
Alright, so I've loosened these. I've already pulled out the bottom one. There's these. Just hold on to it. Now your caliper will be able to slide off.
Right here.
Alright, and it is still attached to your brake line. So the easiest thing to do is up here on your strut. These little hooks. Just hang it right on there. And it holds on like that. So we can remove these 2 and get off this caliper mounting bracket. These are old pads and the old rotor.
The mounting bracket is held on by 2 17mm bolts. Go ahead and remove that, and then once that's off, you can remove the rotor itself by removing the 2 sets.
Alright, so this is the back view. These are the ones that we took off to take off our caliper. These are the mounting bolts right here. For my vehicle, it's a 17mm. I already removed the lower one. We're just going to remove this top one now. Once both of those are removed, you'll see how this starts coming off. I'm going to get out from under the car. And this whole piece will be able to slide off. My brakes came out inside of it. And this is what we'll do to remove and insert our new ones. Now, as you can see, my vehicle has screws that keep the rotor on the wheel here. What you do is you insert it into the screw. It's set on loose. So you're going to pull it to twist it, like pressure on the left-hand side, because I'm trying to loosen this screw. What you do is you give it a nice whack on the side, and it will actually start twisting the screw. Now, my rotors are a little old, so they're still seized on here. Best thing to do to get that off is just put these on slightly. And we're going to hammer right here on each location pretty hard. This is to protect so you don't mess up the threads on your actual bolts there.
The next step is to install the new rotor and the brake pads in the bracket. When reinstalling the new rotor, be sure to align it so that you can get access to both of the set screws.
We reinserted our new rotor. It's the exact same one. There's our old one. Are rather thin. They're wearing down right here. There's the wear line. And we have our new brakes. Side. The one on the right is the new one, the one on the left is the old one. So you can see I'm very well down on that wear indicator on this one, and these are the new ones. Alright, I got it all cleaned up, so now we're going to install these new pins. I need 2 hands for these, so I'm going to show you. They just clip in right like that, and then on the adjacent side. So this came with brake grease with my car pack. What we're going to do is put it on the back side here, and anytime there's metal on metal, so right here and right here. This little silver clamp, it'll be facing down on your brake pad. So I'll show you once I install it on here, because I need 2 hands to do that. Make sure you install your brakes the correct way of the way your rotor is going. So, for example, this is my front one, so that is going to be on the bottom side, so it spins like this and brakes like that. It would not be installed this way or that way. This metal thing needs to be at the bottom. Here, one. There's another one on the top side. That's going to go in the notch there and there. So I need 2 hands to do this, but basically you're going to notch it in there and then notch in your top side.
The last step is to reset the brake piston and then reinstall the mounting bracket and the caliper with your new brake pads.
So we need to reset that caliper all the way back into its housing unit so we can put on the new brakes, which are much thicker. The way I'm going to do it is I'm going to use a giant C-clamp. There's also tools for this that push it back down in, but a simple C-clamp and an old pad that we stick up in there will do just fine. Now when we push this down, this says brake fluid in it, and the brake fluid needs to go somewhere or else you're going to bust your brake line because of the pressure buildup. So what we're going to do is we're going to take off where we would normally bleed the brakes right here. We're going to loosen that and put a towel down, so as we compress it, this hydraulic fluid or the brake fluid can seep out there and it won't be pushed back into our master reservoir. So once I have it hooked up, I'll show you guys what it looks like. So as you can see here, I have my C-clamp set up. We have an old pad, so it compresses this evenly. It's just hooked on the end there.
And what about this thing in cold?
Hold on. And then I'm going to begin to loosen this. And yes, some fluid will leak out, so keep the towel underneath. What we're going to do is just twist this, and that will begin to compress in. As you do that, more fluid will leak out. That is perfectly normal. Alright, so as you can see, I have my new brakes installed into my mounting bracket. There's a little gap in between, which it's going to fit right around the rotor there. So, I'm going to slide
Your
these.
hand's in the way though.
We're going to slide this on. As you can see, the brake pads fit right evenly around the rotor. And now it fits on the back side. So what I'm going to do is install the mounting bracket bolts back on, and this will be held in place, and then we can reinstall our caliper. You can hit stop. Alright, so we reinstalled the mounting bracket. We're just reinstalling our bolts. I always put the top one in first because then it will hold it in place. You can line up your second one. take our caliper off. Make sure your brake line is not twisted. Make sure it's straight. Now that our piston is back in its housing unit, this should fit right over everything. You push these in, and our caliper fits right over again. Same thing. Reattach the caliper. I always do the top one first. Now for once you install the caliper, so mine's a 17-inch or 17 millimeter and a 14 millimeter. The 14 is the back, the 17 is what I need to hold it. So you need to hold this still so you can tighten this. If not, you'll just keep twisting this part and it won't tighten. All right.